for it to look as native as
I
possible.
got another quick city question. Where are we with either of the gas station locations?
The gas station that is over just off of 8th Street, that one has already submitted for drawings and they should kick off construction here shortly. The other one has, I don't know where they are on their insurance claim, so I don't
Is
know how much.
it different ownership?
Yeah.
Uh,
Didn't used to
It's,
be.
Yeah,
it's the,
once it was all-
it's the same, it's the same ownership. What it is, one insurance claim has come through, the other one hasn't. And you gave.
Yeah, those were the ones you gave me, and I said that the one we needed wasn't in there.
Okay, if we can start. So, August 3rd, 2020, planning and zoning meeting come to order, and this is a working session, is that what we want to call it?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll call Laura into the call once, whenever we want.
Great. All right, can you call the roll?
Here you go.
Alex Hogan,
Here.
Laureen Lindsay. Here. Jack Kerrigan,
Here.
Bill Driver,
Here.
David Masters,
Here.
Jim Bush.
Me too.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the minutes for March 23rd, May 4th, and June 1st. Did anybody have any comments on the minutes, or do we accept them as written?
I can't comment on the first two because I wasn't here, but I see no need to change anything in the third one. I think that's an accurate reflection of what went on.
Okay. I didn't see anything on any of them. We have a motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Is everybody? Next is the proposed townhome district zoning map discussion.
Hey there, Laura, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. Thanks. Oh, not mine.
Good thing.
I'm used to when I take the phone away from my face saying goodbye. It was just a natural reaction. And I figured we'd wait until after we passed the minutes to give you a call. And one of the reasons for doing that is the minutes that are here represent the meeting that we had where we adopted the townhome language that went to the state. That language that went to the state has passed the state, it has passed our council, and we're now ready to make the next move. There's a couple things that we have within the packet. One is the potential change to the city zoning map. It's a draft letter. It's fairly simple. It will go out to all of the owners that are shown on the mid-range blue color that's on the map that's in front of you. And one of the things that I would like for y'all to do is, read through that text. If there's anything that you think would need to be changed is one. And then lastly, to look at the map itself and see if there's anything within this map that you think would need to be changed. And I have noticed a couple of parcels that probably do need to change. So I'll just open it up for discussion. And Laura, do you want to give a brief on what we're doing?
Yes, so the map is something that I put together, and Chris Mathers over at Bay County assisted with actually putting it to the parcel map to show where the potential locations of the townhome district are. And these are parcels that primarily touch each other and are very thin in width, so maybe 15 to 20, maybe 25 feet wide, and have a common wall, or at least once upon a time had a common wall development. So we would like your input on this to kind of go over maybe some ground truthing to see if there's anything on this map, like Mario mentioned in the light blue that says TR, that might need to come off. And but primarily this is to help those that used to have a common wall development, like a townhouse, quadruplex, or a whole row, to be able to build with a zero setback when they're adjacent to the common wall. the letter that you have that's also accompanying this is to go out to the property owners to tell them of the potential of the change to the city zoning map so that they can be aware of what's happening. They can come to your meeting or the city council meeting to get more information, or they can call Mario and get a better idea or a better understanding of why we're doing this and maybe the timeline of when it's going to happen.
And one of the things that I've noticed when looking through the map itself is that, again, there are some parcels that look like they're townhomes, but what they are, I believe, is actually condominiums. So we would want to carve some of those out. I see one here on 42nd Street that, again, the parcels are parallel with the roadway, which leads me to believe that it's a condominium, not a party wall townhome type development. When I look over at the 37th Street, it looks like that first parcel on the west Gulf of Mexico end may not be wide enough. I mean, may actually be wide enough that you don't need to have this thing with the zero lot line. So again, it's one of those that I'm going to look at separately. There's definitely one over here on 35th Street, halfway down the block, that is a rather large parcel. And then I believe the one on the very end probably, again, is another condominium as opposed to a townhome development. The parcels over here on 31st Street, I wanted to open up the discussion. We were looking at the maximum width of a lot that is going to go to townhome being 30 feet. And the reason that I say 30 feet is once they hit that 30-foot mark and greater, you can actually get a 15-foot wide home inside of it with the 7.5 and 7.5 foot setback. So I was hopeful to at least set, this is the threshold. Once you get over 30 feet in width, you really don't need this stopgap.
The problem with that limited to 30 feet though is you get somebody that's on the end who abuts a non-townhome, then they're losing space because they've still got the 7.5 setback.
Again, when you look at these parcels and you look at the arrangement, you'll notice that the two end parcels within the townhome rows are typically not just 15-foot wide lots, but they're 15-foot plus 7.5 feet, which accommodates their adjacency to a non-townhome parcel.
Okay.
What's the difference between a townhome and a condominium that makes?
My question too.
Massive difference. In a condominium, you own airspace. You don't actually own a sliver of land. In a townhome, you actually own that 15-foot wide sliver of land. In a condominium, there's overall common area, and then there's pieces within that common area. You can own a condo that stacks one on top of the other. You can own condos that are side by side by side, similar to a townhome, but then everybody owns what's in front and what's behind, which, again, when you look at the parcel on 35th Street, and you'll see how, that parcel closer to the beach, see how there's a great big blue area around?
Yep.
I believe that's probably a condominium development. When you look at 42nd Street, you see how the parcels they're 4 inside, and then there's this little perimeter all the way around it. Again, I believe that's probably a townhome.
Are you gonna have somebody go out and put feet on the ground to check these, Mario?
The problem with feet on the ground is there's nothing on the ground to put feet on. This is all going to have to be somewhat ground truth based on looking at aerials and really more looking at the parcel, and possibly even, again, keep in mind, we're going to send these notices out to people, and some of those people are going to say, I don't own that. I think we're going to be able to back into the condominiums because they sort of stand out.
So now, are all of these parcels now destroyed, or is any of them occupied and livable, or?
To the best of my knowledge, everything that we're doing was somewhat demolished with the exception of maybe some of the stuff over here on Miramar.
So none of these has been built back?
Some have been
Townhomes or
built,
condos?
yeah, some have been built back. Actually, some of these on 40th Street, I don't think were completely demolished.
Okay, so if we make this change, how would that impact those that's already up?
Keep in mind, you guys have issued some variances on this already, so some
Yeah, but
parcels already have been developed based on these rules.
yeah, but we've turned some down also.
The one you turned down, the council passed.
Okay,
And again, some never got a variance just because they built on the exact same footprint, so, again, keep in mind, all that we're doing is fixing something that was messed up in the eighties.
really messed up.
I have a question. Since the St. Joe development is all tourist mixed use, are we gonna have to go in with a townhome district if they come in and say, okay, we changed our mind, this is what we wanna do?
The St. Joe development already has townhomes in it. It already has 0 lot line parcels.
Okay, so
This
is
is
that gonna be
second phase.
is that gonna be reflected on the map then?
You've already approved the map that had the townhomes on it. Yeah.
I'll say so.
Well,
I think what Jim
I know
was saying
so.
is, it's not on this map.
No, again, this is a zoning map, which is an overall development, and on this map, it's, oh shoot.
So maybe I can help clarify that a little bit. The future land use
It's a PUD.
category of tourist mixed use is not changing. So this is a zoning district that nestles inside of that overall comprehensive plan future land use map category of tourist mixed use. So this will allow the smaller width developments, the smaller width structures. If there's another lot that's inside of the city and the property owner wants to apply for this zoning category and it's a vacant lot, they certainly have the ability to apply for it and go through the system and ask for your recommendation and ask for city council approval. So it's not that this is going to be closed off to any other future development in all of time. Somebody else can come forward and apply for this, and then you decide if you want to grant them that opportunity to have the townhome district. This is just going to those homes that were previously developed this way prior to the hurricane.
Thank you, Laura, that answers it.
And there may be a couple of, I see 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 more on the west side of the canal, on Canal Parkway. So there's a couple tweaks. Has anybody else noticed anything that needs to be tweaked or?
No, I'm happy with the way things are written from what I can see on the map so far, so I mean, I don't have any real problems with any of that.
I guess the good thing would be is if we have made an honest mistake or whatever, they can either reply to the letter or come back to us and say, I should be in this district because here's a picture of what I had before and blah, 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 blah. It isn't set in stone per se.
Okay. Would you all agree that, again, I'm gonna double check the one that looks like a condominium on 42nd Street that is running parallel to the roadway? Would you agree that that needs to be taken out?
What you say makes sense, but without actually seeing it, I hesitate to say that. We're gonna look at this again next week, right? Next meeting?
Yeah, next meeting.
Okay, so why don't, I'll take a look at that and then
Yeah,
we'll
there's
be able.
nothing there.
Yeah.
It's all slab, so
Yeah,
on the left side.
Your only real tool at this point is gonna be looking at an older aerial photo.
Yeah, if you look at Google Earth also has side views.
Right.
So we can look at the Google Earth side views and pretty much tell.
Yeah, I don't know which ones they're currently showing, so I don't know that those go back in date.
Oh, they do?
The side views go back in
Yeah.
date also?
Yeah.
There was a vacant lot on the left side, if you were looking at them from the street. And then, probably a small vacant lot on the right side also, but there were 2 or 3 in the middle, as I recall.
And where are you talking about?
42nd Street.
Okay.
So these are things that we can look at and examine. I'm on the property appraiser's website right now, and it looks like that very western unit is owned by Craig Daly, and that person's name is also associated with that area around the 4 of those parcels. So I don't know why that would be if that's a condo. So I can certainly look into that.
Okay.
Okay.
If it was a condo, it would be under the association name.
Okay, and then the parcels right next to the water's edge that are also on 42nd Street, I'm assuming that they have an easement to access around each other.
So those are the ones on the west side of the street?
Correct.
An easement won't show up on the property appraiser's website, so they must have, it's
Yeah.
possible they have an easement.
And those are just 4 separate parcels, and you can see the 2 ends are a little bit larger because of the setback that they would have.
So who gathered this information and put the lines in and colored it and did all that? Who did the initial groundwork on it?
Well, keep in mind that this is all these lines are already in GIS, and Alora and myself, took a stab at this, and then we refined it a couple times, and that's what you have here.
Okay, so it's been massaged, which is good.
This was developed looking at some aerial photographs pre-storm to see what was on the ground pre-storm.
Okay, good.
And if y'all agree or disagree with the maximum size for 30 feet, I'd like to get some input on that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that at all.
30 is plenty.
To give you an idea, when you look all the way on the very eastern end, you see the one that says TR on top of it, and then there's 2 flag lots that stand on top of each other, and then one larger lot. That one larger lot is like 32 feet in width, and if you want to talk about a nightmare, that total parcel was actually one home that somebody then put separator walls inside of and created that flag lot along the property line. So it's not just that it's a townhome, it's a flag lot townhome. It has common walls, and when the hurricane hit, it wiped the whole thing out. But to really complicate the westernmost parcel is that it had an upstairs and a downstairs unit on one parcel. Fortunately, that lady purchased the downstairs because she owned the upstairs, which meant she had no rights to anything other than air. At the end of the day, the only 2 parcels that have to be townhome parcels are the 2 flag pieces.
Are you talking about on 42nd?
No, I'm talking about the very furthest east end. It has the letter TR on top of it. It's right off of 23rd. Those parcels are going to be a hybrid in the sense that they almost have to have the common wall is not a straight common wall. The common wall is going to have a Z shape to it. So, but again, it still meets what we've been talking about because those parcels, even though they're flag lots, are still only 23 or 24 feet wide. So they are in need of it, but the westernmost piece does not need to be townhome.
And like we've seen in the past, some of these could be combined.
Correct.
Into a single family, freestanding, whatever, there's enough room.
And there are people, I know for a fact that on 38th Street, I know that someone purchased 3 of those parcels, so now they own 45 feet, so they're gonna put a 7.5 foot setback on both sides and have a home instead of a townhome.
Good. So what do we do next?
I will say, just to throw another thought into the process, that, you know, you might have one person that owns a duplex, that, so the property lines won't show two different units, it'll show one unit, even though there might be two dwellings on that one parcel. So if somebody bought two of those townhome units, it might be one parcel and they have ownership of both, and maybe they rent them both out or rent one out and live in the other, so it might not. That's where we need to make sure we get input from the people who own the parcels to make sure that we're not creating any more difficulty with the 30 feet.
And Alora, you know, when I just mentioned those three parcels that join together, you really can't let them go away from this townhome use, because if you let them become a single-family home, then the end parcel that then butts up the non-conforming end parcel would have to have a 7.5 foot setback. So again, wherever we do this townhome, it needs to stay that way, because the end cap becomes problematic if somebody absorbs it in between.
In other words, if somebody didn't buy all of them, and the end was still set up as a townhome.
Yeah, they'd have to have a 7.5 foot setback on the side of the larger.
It's not enough
I'm
room,
sorry.
because it's too small.
So if somebody took, just like we just talked about, and combined those, and then you still had all of these on either side, I'm sorry you can't see this, Laura, but if they purchased and put a home right there in the middle and had their 7.5 feet and their 7.5 feet, this parcel over here has to build as a zero lot line. Because if all of a sudden you force them to conform to the 7.5 feet, now they can only build a 8.5 foot wide or 7.5 foot wide home on one side. So again, once we create this townhome, even though somebody comes in and purchases to do a standalone home, they're still adjacent to a townhome development.
How does this impact someone's insurance? I mean, if I own that house in the middle, sitting on those three lots, is there
This person's insurance should actually have, let's back up. So when you build a townhome, you have to have a firewall on your house.
Correct.
And your next door neighbor has to have a firewall.
right?
The intent of that firewall, in essence, is the same thing as the distance. The distance gives you the fire rating versus the wall giving you the fire rating.
Well, what I was talking about though, if
So
you,
this wall would not have to be a rated wall. This would just be a standard wall on that house.
but you've only got 7.5 feet separation from the house to the property line,
Mhm.
and isn't that a fire?
No,
So-
that's normal. That's why you typically have 7.
No, it's not, because
15 normally.
Yeah, 7.5 each side.
you could not get fire equipment through there.
Yeah, you can get a firefighter through there. Keep in mind, even on a house, there's a fence there, so you can still get fire equipment between. The
Okay.
15 isn't that it's 100% clear space of 15 feet. Your fire, I think the rating might be required at 10 feet.
Yeah, it is.
What I'm concerned about is this house may not be able to have a window on the sides adjacent to the townhomes. Again, that's a building code issue, it's not anything you guys have to.
Okay, so you're gonna do some ground checking or computer checking, because there's
Yeah.
not much left on the ground. And we'll take another look at this next meeting. Okay, great.
And again, it was mainly so that we could talk this through, because having it in a meeting, trying to vote on it without having a little bit of time to crunch through it sometimes is awkward, so. And you have the ordinance that went through, and the language that went over to DCA, so you can see all the ins and outs of the land use. That's pretty much it for me. We still have questions.
Nope.
The letter is missing a period at the end of the fourth paragraph. Put a period there and it looks good to go.
Okay, good.
It's gonna be, there you go.
For him. Okay. Jim, I think you're up next.
Okay, we really can't do this because the piece of paper we need to look at is not included in the packet. But Laura, if you remember, after we got a copy of the comp plan that was approved by the state, and I proofed it, I pointed out that the purpose and intent section was incorrect based on what we had sent to the council. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And what I was proposing we do is take the one that, you know, says Mexico Beach wants to be a small community, typical conservative values and all that other stuff. That one paragraph needs to be inserted in there and send that to the state to have the comp plan amended. That's what I'm looking to do.
So I'm trying to, we need to kind of look and research that because I thought that had all been included in the ordinance that was adopted in 2019, in the first part of 2019. So,
Well, the thing about it is, it has to be in the comp plan though, because that's what drives the rest of the comp plan.
right, I thought that it was all part of it when we adopted it finally. I think it was in January of 2019.
Well, it was, but that's not what went forward to the state. What went forward to the state was the purpose that was in the old comp plan, and then underneath that was added what our goals were, you know, beach access and all the other stuff. So that first paragraph was left out of what went to the state.
Okay. Tell me, do you have that with you? What does it start with, that first paragraph?
I've got what you sent out.
Yeah.
What came out digitally. Is this the separate permanent residential areas from,
No, it's the one, Mexico Beach intends to be maintain current architecture.
maintain the traditional town development pattern and
Did it go out digitally?
appearance of architecture?
But there's also other stuff in there about small town conservative values and stuff like that.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so is it in the digital copy, just not in this?
I don't know, because I don't have the digital
Yeah,
copy.
it came out digitally.
Well, read that first paragraph, Bill.
Okay, well, the city's intent is to, A, maintain traditional town development pattern and historical appearance of its architecture.
Coastal architecture. Yeah, so that,
Well, what's the rest of it?
I have that in the one that I have in my records as being adopted
Okay,
and I have it dated 02/05/19.
But read the rest of it, Bill.
yeah, separate permanent resident,
No,
separate,
that's not it.
or promote infill development with the core residential in commercial areas of the city, and to allow appropriate mixture of uses within the areas adjacent to the commercial districts. Provide land use strategies that allow new development to accommodate living space. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
The list?
no.
Okay.
That is what shows up as paragraph 2 of what went to the state.
Laura, do you have the language?
It would help if I could see what they're referring to. Can it be emailed to me? What I have is number one purpose. The purpose of this comprehensive plan is to guide the future growth and development of the built environment. Does that sound right?
No,
Okay. I'll have to look through my files to see what I have.
If we can find out what actually went to the state and what the council actually approved, this may already be done, but again, short of,
So, yeah, I can contact the state and see what was sent to them, but
well,
Tanya, she was the one that handled all that transmittal.
yeah, Alara, let me interrupt
people
you.
finish speaking before you talk over.
That's fine, but I can contact the state. I went to their website that has all the records of what's been adopted, but they don't have this posted at all, so I can't tell. I can't tell what they received, so I'll have to call them to see if they can let me know what they received as part of the ordinance.
Laura, for your information, that's what went to the state. When I talked to Tanya about it afterwards, she said, oh, well, you know, we were in a hurry, we couldn't let you proof it. We'll address that at a later date. So what went to the state is what appears.
Okay, I'll just want to double check just to make sure. It was a confusing time. There was a lot going on. So I'll get with them, and then I will look back through my records to see if I have the version that you're referring to.
We'll keep digging for just a
But
minute.
that would have been something we worked on very early in the process. Do you remember it that way?
Can I see those 2 pieces of paper that I gave you back? Yeah, we had that community workshop, and I don't have the exact date. Well, wait a minute, maybe I do in my other book. Hang on a minute. Okay, we had the workshop on the 1st of August, and we massaged it, and then the very next city council meeting, I went in and briefed the city council on what we developed as far as intent and our schedule for what we were going to do and how we were going to handle it. So it should be, well, I don't think the city, well, I don't know whether that was part of the packet or not.
I was gonna say, if it was given to the council to review and adopt so that it would be sent to the state, it should be in at least that agenda.
Well, I'm in the agenda, but I don't know if copies of that are in the agenda or not.
Here's what I've got, Jim, in my notebook.
Okay, well, I have a version that is a strike-through that I just
Oh,
found
no,
that
that's the one that
is
was approved.
from the original. So it has the original language, and then it has strike-through, and it has underlying language that you wanted to add. And that one is dated August 9th, 2018. But that is the language that was finalized in 2019. That was the final version. It's the same language.
I'll see if I've got anything home too. The one I'm looking at says 111-219 draft.
111.19. Okay, I have 111.19 in my files. And I'll do a compare, but it looks, just by looking at it, it looks like it's the same language. But I can do a compare with the 2 Word documents to make sure there's no difference. But it looks, just glancing through it, it looks the same as what was dated 2/05/19, which was the final version. I don't know why it would have changed in 3 weeks.
Okay. I'll look and see what I've got also. My recollection was that they left the first page out. Isn't that what we always talk
Well,
about?
the first, yeah, the stuff that we had the meeting on was what was left out.
Right, where we hashed all through all that
Yeah.
with the citizens and came down, and that was just got missed. Okay.
Somehow or another, we need to find that paper trail.
So our question is whether or not the language is what was agreed upon, or whether it's even there altogether.
I'm curious about the language altogether because, again, right now, the only person that has a copy of that language is Mr. Bush. Outside of Mr. Bush having that language, I don't know that it exists anywhere else.
I might
And
have,
it, you know, it's kind of crazy to think that a city council meeting approved something and pushed it forward without having a document inserted in it. Again, that's what the agenda is for, is to have that record. And I'm not saying that it wasn't discussed, I'm just saying that there's a big gap between only one person having it and,
Well, Laura had it at one time.
Yeah, I have it, and I have an email where I sent it over. So I'm
Yeah.
looking back to see if it's in the document that was sent.
I thought we
Sent to the
finished it
agenda
prior to the
packet.
storm, it just hadn't been.
Yeah, we did finish it prior to the storm, and they,
Okay,
and
so
we weren't allowed
if
to
I
proof
go
it before it went
If I go
forward.
to your website and I go to the agenda packet for the meeting on January 15th, 2019, and I bring up the clean version of the plan, the purpose of intent is in there. It's in that document.
But what does it say?
Which,
It's a one-page purpose and intent. It's got one purpose, two, it is the city's intent to, and then it's got A, B, C, D. And then it says
No.
Mexico Beach shall its growth and protect local natural resources in a manner that is consistent with the city's ability to, and then it's got A through M. The last one being ensure dedicated public beach access.
Yeah, but that's not it.
So that's what they adopted.
Yep. Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
but it's not consistent with what Mr. Bush has.
Okay. Jim, can you send me what you have so I can see it?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I've got it on my hard drive, and all I've got is my draft that I presented to the city council.
Can
All my other work
Mario-
papers I
Can
destroyed.
Mario get a copy and scan it and email it to me?
Sure.
I'll look and see what I've got, but I think once it was done, I tossed mine also.
Yeah, I tossed all my, I mean, I had it like
Yeah,
that.
exactly, okay. All right, so we'll do some more.
All right, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Once we get a copy, I will make sure that everybody has a copy of whatever language it is.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Actually, do you remember I passed out copies the first time we were going to address this? Everybody on the council was given a copy at that time.
Because I remember talking about.
And then we had a late meeting, said, well, we're running late, we're not going to address it today, we'll address it next meeting, and then we didn't.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, it's one of the things that we all need to do is, if something is introduced into the meeting and it needs to be part of the meeting, we need to make sure that whoever is tracking the meeting gets a copy of that so that they can add it to the record. Because if it's not
Record, yeah.
if it's not in the record, I mean, it's something that we discussed, it's something that we talked about, it's something that we wanted to do, but unless we physically have something, it's kind of awkward to get back
Well,
on.
I distinctly remember it was a long meeting. I think it was a St. Joe approval, not approval kind of thing. It went on and on and on. And then we did defer that. I do remember that specifically. Whether I still have that, what you sent out or not, I'll take a look. And I think it's not in there because we never really addressed it yet in that meeting. We didn't go forth with it because we ended the meeting before we discussed it.
Gotcha.
That's why it's not there. Okay,
Okay.
thanks for your help, Jim. I'm tracking that down. Anything else? Any miscellaneous? Anybody have anything to talk about in our meeting? Any applicants for, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Does anybody have anything? Any applicants yet for our open position?
Yeah.
None. Okay.
Well, there should be a lot of people looking Facebook tonight, right?
We've advertised it within our website, and we've put it on Facebook, trying to fill the positions. Again, not everybody has one Monday out of the month to spare. We're hopeful that somebody does. And part of the issue is that we've lost a lot of people within the community, so we're working from a deficit.
Well, it's a tough time to get people to come to a meeting, period.
Yeah, and on top of that, you throw COVID in the whole thing, and who wants to volunteer to go out and meet in groups?
Okay, well, we'll keep addressing it in our meetings here, bring that up, remind everybody.
Thank you, Laura.
Sure, thank you. Everybody have a good
too.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have anything else?
One thing, do you want to run this off tonight, or do you want me to come in tomorrow with it? That
Tomorrow will be fine.
okay.
Okay. We have
Motion, I move that we adjourn.
all right,
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
Okay, we're adjourned.